They sat across from me at my in-laws' kitchen table on a Sunday afternoon and asked me to be understanding. My best friend of 12 years had gotten my wife pregnant, and according to the people who raised her, the right thing to do was hold it together for the sake of our daughter. I'm an urban planner. I spend my days figuring out how cities grow, where the roads go, how the water flows, how you build infrastructure that holds up under pressure for decades. I know what it looks like when a structure is sound. I know what it looks like when the cracks have been there a long time and nobody said anything. I should have seen it. My mother-in-law called me on a Thursday evening. Family dinner, Sunday, come early, bring Chloe. She loves Sunday dinners at grandma's, so I didn't think twice. My wife had been quiet for a few weeks, working late, short answers, spending more time on her phone. I figured she was stressed. Her firm had a big project deadline. I didn't push because I trusted her. That was my mistake. Sunday came. Chloe was in the back seat of the truck, talking my ear off about her new best friend at school. Some girl named Avery who could do a cartwheel and had a dog named Biscuit. I made the appropriate noises, pulled into my in-laws' driveway just south of Calgary, helped Chloe with her jacket, walked through the front door. My best friend's truck was parked out front. He and I had been close since university. We'd lived together in a terrible bachelor suite near campus for 2 years. He was my best man. He'd helped me move 3 times. But when Chloe was born, he was the second person we called. He was sitting at the kitchen table. When I walked in, he didn't look at me. My father-in-law stood up too quickly. Hey, sit down, sit down. Chloe, sweetheart, there are cookies in the living room. Grandma put them out for you. Chloe didn't need to be told twice. She disappeared around the corner. I heard the TV come on. Some cartoon with a lot of sound effects. My mother-in-law had that careful look on her face. The one she uses when she's trying to keep everyone calm. Like she's a flight attendant explaining that yes, the engine is on fire. But there's no reason to panic. My wife was already sitting. She'd driven over separately. Said she needed to help with dinner prep. I'd believe that too. My father-in-law put a piece of paper on the table. Just slid it across to me, like we were closing a real estate deal. It was a printout. Ultrasound report. My wife's name at the top. 10 weeks, 2 days. A note from a fertility clinic confirming paternity testing had been completed, and a name under biological father that I recognized immediately. My best friend's name. I read it twice. My hands didn't shake. I noticed that. They stayed completely still, the way they go when I'm running through a site assessment, and something is seriously wrong. But I need to keep my head to do the job right. My mother-in-law spoke first. We thought it was better to do this as a family, together. I looked at my wife. She was crying, but it had a quality to it. Something rehearsed. How long, I said, not a question. The tone came out completely flat. My best friend finally looked up. Does it matter? It mattered. Nobody answered. This is a tragedy, my father-in-law said. He said it like it was something that had happened to all of us equally. Like a car accident or a wildfire. But these things are complicated. She's still your wife, he's still your closest friend. And Chloe still needs her family around her. I almost laughed at the word, family. You've always been the steady one, my mother-in-law said. That's why we knew you could hear this without falling apart. We need you to be the one who keeps this from exploding. The steady one. Sam. I looked at her. I thought about every holiday I'd driven 4 hours to attend. Every time I'd helped with their deck renovation without being asked. I thought about 12 years of friendship, and a man who had stood beside me at my own wedding and apparently decided that wasn't enough of a reason. Think about Chloe, my father-in-law said. She can't grow up watching her family tear itself apart. From the living room, Chloe laughed at something on the screen. Bright and easy, and completely untouched by any of this. I stood up. Everyone at the table tensed. They were waiting for the scene, the raised voice, the accusations, the kind of explosion you can eventually manage and contain, and spin into a story about how hard it was, but how everyone got through it. Together. I didn't give them that. I walked into the living room. Chloe was on the couch with a cookie, legs swinging, eyes on the TV. Okay, Bug, shoes on. Can I finish the episode? Nope. Come on. She pouted for exactly 4 seconds, then climbed down and started pulling on her shoes. I grabbed her jacket off the hook by the door. Where are you going? My wife's voice from the kitchen doorway. It cracked on the last word. I didn't answer. Hey, louder now. You can't just leave, we need to talk about this. I zipped up Chloe's jacket, took her hand, opened the front door. Dad, did something happen? She was looking up at me. Everything's fine. Feel like sushi? Can I get the mango rolls? You can get 2 orders. She decided that was acceptable, and climbed into the truck. I drove back to Calgary on autopilot. Chloe found a sleeve of crackers in her backpack and narrated the plot of whatever show she'd been watching. I nodded. Said no way and seriously, in all the right places. Asked follow-up questions. Laughed when she did the voice. None of it reached me. But I was in every moment of it. We got sushi. She ate both orders of mango rolls. I had miso soup and moved it around. She told me about a school project where her team had to build a bridge out of popsicle sticks. 11 textbooks before it collapsed. 11 is really good, I said. Avery's team only got 8. She looked pleased about this in the uncomplicated way. Only 7-year-olds can manage without guilt. Bath time. 2 chapters, tucked in with the stuffed polar bear she'd had since she was 3. Nightlight on. I went downstairs and stopped pretending to be fine. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop at 20 past 11 and started making decisions. We had a joint savings account. Combined, we'd built it to just over $112,000. TFSA contributions, tax refunds, years of careful planning, down payment fund for a bigger house, Chloe's education savings, the safety net we'd built together while she was apparently building something else entirely. I moved exactly half to my personal account, the one I'd kept from before we were married. $56,000. Time-stamped the screenshots, sent them to my own email. Then I opened a new tab and started looking up family lawyers in Calgary. I found one whose profile said he specialized in high-conflict custody and had been practicing Alberta family law for over 20 years. His contact form had a note. Urgent matters, call anytime. I called. He answered on the second ring. Not hostile, just awake. I told him the situation in 3 sentences. He asked me 3 questions. How long married? 7 years. Daughter born in Alberta? Yes. Did I have documentation of the paternity? I had the printout I'd photographed at the table. He told me to send it to him that night and be in his office Monday morning at 8. I sent the photo, set my alarm for 6. Saturday I dropped Chloe at my sister's place across the city. Told her I had some things to sort out. She's always been good at reading a room. She didn't push. By 10 that morning, I was at a coffee shop on Stephen Avenue, going through every shared document I had access to. By noon I had a folder. Organized mortgage papers, joint account records, 5 years of tax returns, Chloe's immunization record, medical history, school enrollment, and the photograph of the printout from the table. Monday. 8 sharp, office on 9th Avenue. He spread out what I'd sent him and talked me through it for 90 minutes. Primary custody in Alberta goes to the parent who demonstrates stability and routine. Steady income, established home, school proximity, documented involvement. The infidelity is contextual. This province operates under the Federal Divorce Act, which is no fault at its core. But what wins custody is who has been showing up consistently for the child. I've been at every pickup, I said. Every sick day, every appointment, every school event. My wife has a demanding job. I've been the one who rearranges. Do you have records? I pulled up my calendar on my phone and slid it across the desk. 3 years of it. Every school event, every doctor's visit, every activity. He looked through the first several months and nodded slowly. You're organized. Occupational habit. Good. We file this week. She'll be served by Friday, and I'll argue for interim sole custody pending trial. You're the primary caregiver of record. If she's voluntarily left the matrimonial home, that strengthens your position considerably. She's been at her parents' place since Sunday. He looked up. She left voluntarily. Apparently. He wrote something down. That helps. I walked out with a strategy and a retainer receipt. By noon I was back at my own office. I knocked on my director's door. The Halifax contract, I said. You still need someone on the ground. He looked up from his monitor. I've been hoping you'd ask that. Why now? I have some personal logistics to finalize. Give me 2 weeks. He studied me for a moment. You okay? I will be. Position's yours if you want it. Same title, relocation covered, cost of living adjustment built in. I shook his hand and walked out. That evening I called my sister and told her everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "What do you need?" "I need you to know where I'm going," I said. "And I need Chloe to be able to call you whenever she wants, no questions asked." "Always," she said. "Where?" "Halifax. Probably for good." She didn't argue. She said okay. That's one of the reasons she's always been my favorite person. The serving happened Thursday afternoon. My mother-in-law called 11 times between 2 and 5. I let all of them go. At 8:30 I heard a key in the front lock. My wife came through the door and stopped when she saw me at the kitchen table. She looked different than I remembered. Smaller somehow. Or maybe I'd just been looking at her differently for longer than I'd realized. And only now was letting myself see it. "You filed without even talking to me." Her voice was unsisteady. "I talked to you Sunday." You walked out. You didn't let me say anything. There wasn't anything to say. She set her bag on the counter. Chloe is my daughter too. You can't take her to Halifax. I'm not taking her. I'm relocating. The court granted interim sole custody this afternoon. You can file to challenge it. The color left her face. How did you do that this fast? I've got a steady head. That's what your parents said. She flinched at that. Good. We could go to counseling, she said. I know what I did, I know it. But people work through worse than this. Not with this person. She tried a different angle. He didn't mean for it to happen. He felt terrible about it. I stood up. He can feel terrible somewhere that isn't my life. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. Those aren't the same thing. She tried for another 30 minutes. Tears. Bargaining. She offered to cut off contact completely. Offered to come to Halifax, start fresh whatever it took. I said no to all of it. When she finally left, she slammed the door hard enough to rattle the frame. My phone started within 15 minutes. My best friend, her mother, her father, a cousin of hers I'd met twice at Easter dinners over 7 years. I watched the screen light up and turned it face down. Then I picked it up and started from the top. My best friend's number, blocked, her mother, blocked, her father, blocked, the cousin, blocked. 2 of her friends who had apparently decided this was their matter to weigh in on. Blocked, blocked. The notifications went quiet. I sat in the silence for a while. Then I went upstairs and started packing. 3 weeks later I had a U-Haul backed into the driveway. My sister helped me load boxes while Chloe supervised from the front lawn. Clipboard she'd found in the recycling box. Pretending to take inventory. 47 boxes, she announced, regardless of how many we'd actually carried out. My sister looked at her clipboard very seriously. You sure about that? Chloe checked it again. Confirmed. My sister caught my eye over the roof of the truck and didn't say a word. The kind of look that carries a whole conversation in it. I took Chloe's bed, her books, her dinosaur lamp, the good kitchen things, my work monitors, and the photos that were just the 2 of us. Left the rest for the settlement lawyers. The house would sell. The Calgary market had been running hot for years, and whatever came out of it would get divided. I didn't need the money urgently. What I needed was 3,500 kilometers of clean distance. Chloe cried on the second night in Halifax. Said she missed Avery. Said she missed the park near our old house. Said she missed Biscuit, who was technically Avery's dog. But apparently that detail was irrelevant. I sat on the edge of her mattress on the floor. The bed frame was still in a box somewhere, and said, I know. Being new. Somewhere is genuinely hard. But I promise you're going to find someone here who has a dog. And in about 3 weeks you're going to wonder how you ever didn't know her. She wiped her nose on my sleeve. What if I don't? Then we get our own dog. She sat up immediately. What kind? What kind do you want? She considered this the way she considers serious things. Squinting slightly, head tilted. A golden retriever, she said finally. But not a huge one. A medium golden retriever. Done. She seemed satisfied with that. Fell asleep holding the polar bear. The first month was pure logistics. School registration. She started at a school in the north end of Halifax, walking distance from the rental. Family doctor. I found one taking new patients through the Nova Scotia Health Authority registry, and got her an appointment within 2 weeks. Groceries, transit, figuring out the neighborhood. A superstore 5 minutes away. A Canadian Tire for a lamp that hadn't survived the move. A coffee shop on the corner, that became my regular within a week. Work was the easier part. The waterfront redevelopment project had been undermanaged before I arrived, and the team was visibly relieved to have someone who'd read the full documentation, and showed up with an actual plan. My director back in Calgary called after the first month, to say he was hearing good things. My lawyer called every couple of weeks. My wife's legal team was pushing for summer custody, and a modification to the relocation order. He pushed back on both. She hasn't filed for a hearing, he told me in December. And she hasn't moved. Halifax is a 5-hour flight. If she wanted to be in Chloe's life the way she's claiming, she'd have been on it. She's not going to move, I said. I know, but we let the record show that. By November, Chloe had stopped asking about going back. She'd made friends with a girl in her class named Beatrice, Bea, who had a gap-toothed smile and a competitive streak that matched Chloe's completely. They were inseparable inside of 3 weeks. One Saturday in December I took her skating at the Oval near the waterfront. Halifax winter, cold and bright and the harbor silver in the distance. She'd been on skates maybe twice in her life, and spent the first 20 minutes clinging to them while I shuffled along beside her. By the second hour she was going in loops by herself, arms out, laughing when she wobbled, recovering before she fell. Dad, did you see that? I saw it. You're a natural. Bea says she's been skating since she was 4. B has a 2-year head start. You'll catch up. She took this as a serious technical assessment and immediately went around the loop 3 more times to make up ground. I stood at the boards and watched her and felt, for the first time since October, like I could actually breathe all the way. My phone buzzed in my coat pocket. Unknown number. I watched Chloe make her loop and let it ring out. Everything that mattered was already in front of me. The divorce decree arrived in January. My lawyer's email was 2 lines. Primary custody granted. Supervised visitation conditional on relocation within reasonable proximity. Opposing counsel has made no indication of compliance. He was right. She never came. Chloe didn't ask about her. I didn't bring it up. Kids live in the present tense, in a way most adults have completely lost. She was focused on Bia, on the school play she'd landed a speaking part in, her skating, on the ongoing campaign for the Golden Retriever. I bought the house in February. 3-bedroom semi-detached in the North End. Walking distance to her school. A small fenced yard in the back. The mortgage was something I could actually manage on one income, without holding my breath every month. The settlement money from the Calgary house came through in late January. After legal fees and the split I cleared $91,000. I put a chunk into an RESPIC for Chloe, topped up my RRSP, used the rest toward the down payment. Clean transaction. No ceremony about it. First weekend in the new house we assembled her bookshelf together from a flat pack. I held the boards, she sorted the hardware. She laid out every screw type in separate rows on the carpet. Did not mix them once. You're going to be an engineer, I told her. Or a detective, she said, eyes still on the hardware. Why a detective? Because detectives figure things out. She handed me the right screw, without being asked what size I needed. Also, they have interesting cars. We painted her room a shade of green. She'd picked out herself from the hardware store. Sample. Strips got considerably more paint on ourselves than on the walls. She declared the finished room perfect. I believed her. Spring was good. The city had tapped me for a second contract. A neighborhood planning review on the peninsula. My name was getting known in the right rooms. A city councilor thanked me by name at a public meeting. My director in Calgary called the next day to say he'd heard about it. You settling in? He asked. Yeah, I said. I think we are. Chloe joined a recreational soccer league in April. Fast. Tenacious. No hesitation going for the ball. Her coach moved her to the starting lineup after the 2nd week. I volunteered for a couple of practice sessions when the assistant coach had conflicts, and ended up staying on for the rest of the season. Championship game in June. Tied with 5 minutes left. Chloe got the ball near center, drove it forward, found the gap, and put it in the top corner from just inside the box. Clean strike, the keeper barely moved. Whistle. 30 seconds later. She came across the grass with her arms up, gap-toothed smile going, completely beside herself. I caught her and lifted her up, and for that moment the whole world narrowed down to exactly this. Her laughing against my shoulder, the other kids mobbing us. The harbor in the distance going silver in the afternoon light. Did you see it, Dad? I saw the gap and I just went. I saw every second of it. That was perfect. We went for ice cream after. A place near the waterfront. She got birthday cake on a waffle cone and got it everywhere. Talked the entire time about the game, about Bia's save in the second half, about whether they'd be on the same team next season. Dad, she said somewhere in the middle of a bite. Yeah. I like it here. I looked at her. She'd grown an inch since September. Lost a tooth, made a best friend, found a team. Built a whole life in this city the way kids do, completely, without looking backward. Me too, Bug, I said. Me too. The legal file closed officially in August. My lawyer's email, petition for visitation modification, was never filed. No further action anticipated. You're done. I read it in the kitchen while Chloe kicked a soccer ball against the fence. In the backyard. The steady thunk of it came in through the open window. I thought about that Sunday in my in-law's kitchen. The table. The printout slid across it like a business transaction. My father-in-law's voice, think about Chloe. I had been, every single day. They'd wanted me to absorb what happened, hold everything together, smooth it over, so the rest of them didn't have to sit with what they'd done. They'd called it being steady, being the bigger person. They'd dressed it up in family language and Chloe's well-being, and what's best for everyone. What they'd meant, underneath all of it, was, take this, stay quiet, and make it easier for us. I'd thought of a different definition. Chloe's 8th birthday was a Saturday in September. I spent the morning setting up the backyard. Streamers, a folding table, an inflatable lawn game she'd been campaigning for since spring. 12 kids coming. B's whole group. A few from the soccer team. She came downstairs at 7 in her pajamas. Saw the backyard through the kitchen window and screamed. Did you, Dad? Happy birthday, Bug. She ran outside in her socks to examine everything at close range, came back in and hugged me around the middle. So hard I had to step back to stay upright. The party was chaos in the best possible sense. Kids everywhere. Bea arrived with her mom, who'd become a genuine friend over the past year. The easy, uncomplicated kind that happens when two people end up at the same school events often enough. She helped with the food while I managed the backyard. By 3 in the afternoon the yard was covered in ribbon and half-deflated balloons, and kids running on cake. Chloe sat, in the middle of it all, happy and absolutely spent, surrounded by people who knew her now, not as the kid whose parents split up, not as the new girl from Calgary, just Chloe, entirely herself. After the last kid was picked up, I sat on the back steps with a cup of coffee and looked at the yard. Bea's mom had left an hour earlier. My sister had sent a voice message. Chloe was inside somewhere, probably already on the phone with Bea reviewing the day. My phone was on the railing beside me. I picked it up, saw a notification I'd missed. A message from my lawyer from the previous week. Final decree registered with the court. I'll send the certificate of divorce for your records. It was a privilege working with you. I typed back thank you, genuinely. Set the phone down. Looked at the swing set I'd put together in March, swaying slightly in the evening breeze. The soccer net in the corner she'd insisted we have. The green fence we'd chosen together from the hardware store. They'd wanted forgiveness. The tidy version where I accepted what happened. Everyone moved forward together. And nobody had to sit with the weight of what they'd done. They'd called it thinking of Chloe, they'd called it family. I'd been thinking of Chloe, every day for 12 months. This backyard. This house, a school she walked to with a best friend and a team that counted on her. A father who showed up every morning and picked her up every afternoon and made the right kind of pancakes on Saturdays. And never once asked her to carry something she was too small to hold. That was what thinking of Chloe actually looked like. From inside I could hear her voice carrying through the kitchen window. Bright and easy, and completely her own. They'd asked for the bigger person. They got the person who left. It turns out, those two things have never been the same.